severe weather expert, live in the lab. Dr. Forbes, what do you have to tell us today?
Thanks, Dave.
And the next video we're about to show you is a perfect example that severe weather can produce significant damaging winds even without a tornado.
This is pretty awesome. I mean, stop and listen to this amazing video from Northeast Louisiana.
Microburst.
What was that, 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour?
At least, yeah. I mean, those winds are whipping. You can see that rain and wind being funneled up over the roof of that car. I mean, amazing stuff. So let's talk about what exactly a microburst is. And within a thunderstorm, you see some dry air begin to work into that thunderstorm. And this is known as a wet microburst. Once that dry air enters the thunderstorm, we have the hailstones, the raindrops within that are evaporating or melting, and that cools. Those are cooling processes. So that cools
by evaporation.
That dry air.
Right. Right. By evaporation, you get some cooler air.
Right. And what do we talk about during the winter? We talk about cool air being denser and it sticks closer to the surface. So you've got this cool, dense air now that drops to the ground because it's heavier than the surrounding air. It plunges downward. It's going fast in many cases.
It's going really fast, and then it hits the ground. What's going to happen? Dig a hole in the ground? No. It just fans out. And that's what these microbursts can do. And produce tremendous wind, cool downdraft, damaging wind gusts. And we saw some damage in that carport.
Look at this. This is what it would be looking at on a radar, what you'd be looking at if you saw this on the radar. So here's where the radar is. That beam is shooting out, and in addition to telling us where rain, magnificent photo. And the severe weather, as you heard Dave say, rumbles on as we get into Saturday. We've got that Gulf moisture streaming off towards the north, so we've got plenty of moisture in place. Mid-level winds will be strong. Anytime you're talking about wind shear, that's a change in direction or wind speed at different levels of the atmosphere. We got that strong core of upper level winds, and this is what results. Look at this zone looking at severe weather on Saturday. Areas from southern Indiana and Illinois and southeastern Missouri all the way down towards the Gulf Coast, even central Florida. So we'll be watching areas like Atlanta and Birmingham and Memphis and Nashville, over towards Paducah, Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, also Evansville, Indiana. A lot of real estate with that potential for hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Look at this, 6 out of 10 for western and central Kentucky. That's a 60% chance of a tornado. Same for Tennessee and northern Alabama. So areas like Huntsville have a 60% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. And in North Georgia, it's a 5 out of 10 on the Torcon, meaning a 50% chance of a tornado within that 50-mile location. So these are high numbers, Dave. Start thinking about your safe spot and your family plan now.
Thank you, Dr. Forbes.
Yeah, and we are going to be talking much more about those high Torcon values that he's assigned for Friday and especially Saturday. And we're going to show you what debris at the ground. That means that rotation from the storm is making it to the ground, and you do, in fact, have a tornado.
Sure, and this is what it looks like on radar, the classic hook echo that sits right in there.
Yeah, this known as the inflow notch. So this is where the storm's inflow is in. And when we look at the actual tornado, there's that debris cloud at the surface that you said determines whether or not you have a tornado. You can have a wall cloud without a tornado. That's that lower hanging from the cloud base.
Sure. We've got the inflow, we've got the cold air coming down, a rear flank downdraft, and where those two develop, we end up with our updrafts, our downdrafts, the circulation all the way up into the cloud, a tornado.
Amazing stuff, all the processes happening within that. Dave, want to talk about some of the Torcon values tomorrow. This is Friday for some larger metro areas, including Wichita, Kansas. 4 to 8 o'clock your time to watch, and you have a Torcon of 6. That means a 60% chance within a 50-mile radius. That means if you look at Wichita, 50 miles to the north, east, south, and west, that whole circle, 60% chance of a tornado within that zone. And in Tulsa and Shreveport, it's a 5 out of 10 for you. And you guys will both be watching the 11 a.m. hour all the way until 7 p.m. So much of the afternoon, even towards the dinner time hour. You know, bad weather and severe turbulence caused a Delta Airlines flight from Paris to be diverted to Boston. We're going to have more on that ahead.